Hey, and welcome to Anime Rundowns. I have a few jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work. We'll be talking about an anime called Baki. Baki, considered a deadly explosive that has never been encountered before, walks with an iron fist all around his school, where not even thugs can come near him. Underground martial arts promoter Tokugawa visits champion Baki's school to warn him that 5 violent death row convicts, namely Dorian, Spec, Doyle, Sikorsky, and Yanagi, have escaped their stronghold prisons and are all heading for Tokyo. With no past relations to each other and having the same request of a deep desire to taste defeat, they break through the maximum security prisons to make their way to Tokyo. While Tokugawa warns Baki of the imminent danger he could be in, the death row convicts move around Tokyo in search of him. Hector Doyle, one of those convicts, cuts open the kickboxer Rob Robinson with the wires and pipes attached inside his body. Meanwhile, thugs of Baki's school hire 3 fighters to beat up Baki, but are no match to the aura that he emits, and they run away. That is when he gets a surprise visit from Spec, an American convict who has come to gauge his strength. After a display of his strength, the police arrive to arrest Spec, who shakes Baki's hand and happily goes with them. Yujiro Hanma, father of Baki and the world's strongest creature alive, watches the news, knowing that nobody will understand the real reason the convicts escaped prison and came to Japan. Kaio Dorian, the first convict to escape, visits Shinshinkai dojo looking for Master Doppo Orochi. When challenged by Katsumi Orochi, one of Doppo's disciples, Dorian uses multiple quick moves to deliver a beatdown before disappearing. Meanwhile, Baki takes the fitness test at school and vows to set a new world record in the 1500-meter race. Easily setting a world record in the 400 to 800 meter, he loses composure on reaching 1000 meters, mainly because he was never fit for running. Despite all that, Baki still passes the fitness test. Sikorsky pays a visit to Tokugawa, who takes him to his renowned arena. The rest of the prisoners are there beforehand, standing tall and intimidating. Always late but worth the wait, Baki enters the arena as well, along with Doppo and the rest of the fighters. Time, anytime. Place, anywhere. Opponent, anyone. Rules, none. These are the terms the fighters settle on, with Tokugawa officially declaring the beginning of the battle. Master Doppo follows Dorian out of the arena, selecting him as his opponent, landing a back heel kick onto Dorian's face, sending him face first onto the ground. But Dorian has his own set of dirty tricks up his sleeves. By using a thin, titanium wire, he slices off Doppo's hand. However, that doesn't stop Doppo from punching his face with the same arm before disappearing. Baki spends his time with his girlfriend, Kozue Matsumoto, who knows he is a fighter. While Baki enjoys his time with Kozue, little do they know that they are being followed by Spec. Baki swoops in to kiss Kozue, making her oblivious to the fact that Spec is standing right behind them. Ready to pounce on the 2 lovebirds, Spec gets paralyzed by the death stare Baki gives him while kissing Kozue. Resisting the stare, he tries to land a punch, but gets taken away by Kaoru Hanayama. Spec lands fierce punches and kicks on Kaoru, causing him to have a nosebleed. Kaoru soaks up the barricade of punches, even the deadly apnea rush, that leaves his opponent as a corpse at the end. Kaoru waits for an opening between the punches before smashing Spec's face with his iron fists. 4 hits later, Spec begs him to stop before stuffing his face with bullets that explode at once. With his face exploded, revealing the inner cavity of his mouth, Kaoru finds it difficult to comprehend what just happened. Taking advantage of the situation, Spec attempts another hit, but gets pulled by the end of his shirt and punched full force on his face by Kaoru, sending him flying into a pole. Dragging his body, Kaoru disposes him at the police station and sits in Chief's care to be taken for medical attention. 3 minutes don't even pass by when Spec regains consciousness and uses the dirtiest tricks in the book by shooting Kaoru's kneecaps with bullets, making him lose his momentum. Unable to counter back, Spec goes for the kill by snapping his neck, But all that doesn't stop the strongest Yakuza in Japan. Overpowering Spec by breaking his arm and ripping the flesh off his thigh, Kaoru crushes his throat with his fierce grip, making Spec taste defeat. Later that day, Baki gets a visit by Hector Doyle at his school. Fighting in class against Hector would reveal his identity, so Baki jumps out of the school window and runs into the alley where he encounters Ryoko Yanagi, who uses sharp blades to try and cut Baki. Their short playtime gets interrupted by the appearance of Goki Shibukawa, who tag teams with Baki to fight Yanagi. The deadly duo makes Yanagi look like a rat between two hungry cats, avoiding their attacks using multiple defensive mechanisms to ward them off. Yanagi stands his ground and uses his special technique, the Way of the Void, which creates a poison between the palm of his hand that leaves his opponents unconscious. He uses this technique on Baki, making him unconscious, but disappears on hearing the police sirens. Baki, along with the others, meet at Tokugawa's place, where he highlights his disappointment in Baki's defeat with a simple trick. Dorian pays a visit to their meeting with a bucket full of gasoline, planning to burn them all alive. The bucket of gasoline gets kicked onto Dorian by Katsumi, who was defeated by him at Doppo's dojo, and this time he didn't hold back his punches and proceeds to throw a fire on the gasoline-drenched Dorian, burning him. Dorian umbrellas his real technique and plays the game of a weakling as he gets tossed around by Katsumi and his master Kiyosumi Kato, who cuts off Dorian's ear with a fishing wire. Dorian escapes the suicide mission and into his hideout in the sewerages, but Kiyosumi follows, out for blood. However, he didn't anticipate the fact that playing weak was Dorian's game, and now that they were alone, it was feeding time for Dorian. Dorian mixes grease and broken glass shards on his hands to fight Kato. Using his karate techniques to overpower Dorian, who not in the least is affected by them, sends in numerous deadly punches to Kato's face, cutting him up. And not just that, Dorian uses hypnosis to make Kato assume he has the upper hand and is winning, but when the effect dies, Kato realizes he hasn't even laid a hand on the monstrous beast. Dorian ends the duel by slicing Kato's neck with his titanium strings. The Shinshinkai is furious over finding Kato's body and assemble for revenge by taking him to a secluded amusement park. Dorian enters the amusement park and enjoys some of the rides before being attacked by Kato's peer Suedo. The two go head to head with each other. Dorian, a master of cheap tricks, jumps into a roller coaster, making Suedo follow him. The two duel in the air, but Dorian jumps on Suedo, making him fall down with him. Dorian uses his titanium strings, saving him from a direct impact with the ground, but Suedo dies on the spot. Katsumi, Doppo, and Retsu watch the scene. Retsu recognizes Dorian as the greatest Kaio and says it's an honor to meet him. Retsu backs off since he can't fight a student from the same teacher. Doppo takes the reins to avenge his cut-off left hand that Dorian had committed. The Tiger Slayer unleashes his ultimate powers against Dorian, going as far as breaking the cast on his left hand, revealing the cut-off hand that wasn't there before. Not falling for Dorian's cheap tricks of crying and fake pleas of mercy, nor for his hypnosis, Doppo shows him why he has been dubbed the God of War. Using his years of fighting skills and battle experience, nothing can stop him from defeating Dorian. Happy and grateful that maybe Doppo can fulfill his years-long desire to taste defeat, Dorian fights with a smile. Legs, ribs, and right arm broken, Doppo sends Dorian through a world of pain, but doesn't land the finishing blow. Instead, he calls Kato from the hospital to do it for him. Kato, still on a stretcher, hails all the power to land the final blow, but stops in the tracks when Dorian starts crying like a child and admits defeat. However, Dorian is not one to play fairly as he escapes the hospital and makes way to Doppo's home, where he catches him by surprise and with his one hand sealed with explosive, bursts Doppo's face. Retsu catches him and makes him realize he hasn't won anything in his life, which gets to his head, turning him mental. All while Baki, still oblivious to everything except for his girlfriend, ends up letting her get kidnapped by Sikorsky. Thanks for watching! Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and click the notification bell below so you'll be updated on our next uploads. Till our next video.